Hello and welcome to the second episode of season 2 of SParkcasts. Today, I'm Aditya Nair. I'm joined by Ishan Gomes, Kiade, and Sparks faculty mentor, Professor Kesa Kachi. So we are halfway through 2023, and therefore we've decided to have a bit of fun and look at the movies we're most excited about coming the rest of the year. So let's start with you, Ishan. Which is the movie you're most excited about coming this year?
Well, I'm most excited about Oppenheimer. So it's coming soon, and the trailer dropped a couple weeks back, and it's about the father of nuclear atomic bombs. I'm not sure, but it just has a lot of explosions, and that's really making me, it's generating some factor of excitement in me. I mean, probably wanting me to go out with my friends and go to a movie. So I go to the cinemas and watch it, which is in comparison to other movies which do not imbibe the same feeling in me.
So the boom makes Ishan's heart go crazy?
Yeah, I like things which explode. Boom.
So what are your thoughts on Oppenheimer?
Nolan hasn't really made a bad movie.
Tenet was the closest he was to.
No, Tenet is probably one of his best works. But he has made at least one generic movie that's done good. It's a very standard format, right? And Oppenheimer feels like he's backing that up. Like he's building up his repertoire of generic, like accessible movies. Because it's a biopic. You can't really mess around with a biopic, like in terms of structure or whatever, right? So from that perspective, I'm interested in finding out if you can just do the same thing that it did with Dunkirk again, make it interesting. So that's the first thing I'm interested in finding out. And the second thing probably is Einstein's cameo. Did you catch that? It's like this sad looking Einstein feels like a meme material, right?
The only thing was him sticking his tongue out.
Yeah. It's like he's sad about the fact that he did not get to blow up that bomb. It was Oppenheimer that did it. It's like, okay, I lost my chance at glory, like infamy or whatever. And just from the trailer, right, it feels like the whole color palette that he has in this movie, it's much different than what he did with Tenet or Dunkirk. In fact, like if you didn't tell me that this was Nolan's movie, right, I'd probably assume this was something by, let's say, Paul Thomas Anderson, because that's kind of what he did with There Will Be Blood. If you've seen that movie, I'm not sure.
Yes, I will drink your milkshake.
Yeah, so lots of interesting reasons to watch this movie. But more importantly, I feel like out of all the movies we're talking about today, we're talking about like 6 or 7 movies, right? This is perhaps the only movie I feel like I need to watch in a theater, as opposed to watching it on OTT whenever it comes out. Because it's just the entire canvas that is painted in the trailer, right? I just saw it on a 14 screen and I'm like, no, that's not big enough. It has to go bigger. So this is probably the only movie I've seen in the theater. What about you guys?
For the generic thing, even then, I've read this and I'm pretty sure it's right. Even then, he's doing it in 2 halves. One is a first-person perspective about Oppenheimer. The colored, there are 2 halves of the movie. There's a black and white half, and there's a colored half, and they're spliced in with each other. The colored half is the subjective point of view of Oppenheimer itself. It's a first-person point of view, like Travis Bickle, Taxi Driver. It's kind of like that. While the black and white is the actual objective point of view. So I believe even then, when he's trying to go generic, it's still mind-bending, a bit mind-bending.
So okay, raise your hands, right? If you didn't know this was a Nolan movie, how many of you would have been interested in watching a biopic about Oppenheimer? Okay.
I mean, not that I knew who Oppenheimer was before I watched the trailer, but reading up on him, he seems like an interesting person who I would be interested in watching a biopic on.
How many of you would rather watch a biopic about Albert Einstein? Like a really well-made one.
Einstein.
No, but something of the same sort was released on Nat Geo, if I'm not wrong, like a couple years back.
That was a documentary.
Yeah, it was a documentary, but like, okay, we all know somewhat of the story.
Yeah.
But Oppenheimer, like, we've just heard his name. We don't know who that. I mean, nobody's really researched into him, unless you're an enthusiast of things that blow up.
Like you.
Yeah, like me. I haven't, but So, yeah, and like now it's directed by Nolan. He's directed Interstellar, and that is actually my real favorite movie. And my favorite upcoming movie, which is Oppenheimer, will also be directed by him. So I'm really happy about it. And I can't wait to go and watch it with my friends, with Aditya.
Friends.
Yes.
And Kia.
Interstellar. You've seen Inception?
I've seen. And to some degree, I've understood it. Not to the most degree.
Okay. You haven't attempted Tenet, I'm assuming.
Tenet, I haven't reached there.
So it's just, see, if you compare those movies that he makes, right? That's what I was talking about in the beginning. Oppenheimer feels like a very generic, like straightforward, chronologically easy to understand biopic about this guy, where there's a lot of historical, literature available. It doesn't feel like the kind of thing Nolan would normally do.
Yeah.
So, again, as I said before, right, he hasn't made a bad movie yet in his career, but this is him going out of his comfort zone, which is a weird thing to say because Interstellar is really not a comfortable movie to make in the first place. So, is he still going to be able to make it interesting? Like, is it still something you want to sit and watch for 2.5 hours in a
3 hours?
3 hours,
3
right?
hours.
Will it hold up?
No, I believe it will stand up just because the stellar cast it has, and a lot of them who've seen a lot of scripts, a lot of them going like Matt Damon, Cillian Murphy, they all think it's the best script they've ever read. And also the fact that he's going to make a nuclear explosion without CGI. That's it. That itself is going to be worth going to a PVR and Icon, getting onto an IMAX screen and seeing the movie will be the blast, which is without CGI. I don't know how he's going to do it. Maybe there's a small country which doesn't exist anymore. But yeah.
Can you imagine being like the movie producer, right? The production house, and this guy comes up to you and he's like, okay, in the previous movie I made, I know that I crashed a plane into an island, right? So I did that. I know, I accept that. But for this next movie, I have to blow up a bomb, and it's completely necessary, right? So I request you to give me the funds to just make an explosion happen. How do you feel about that?
That was nuclear bomb, not a regular bomb, a nuclear bomb.
Wait, a real nuclear bomb?
He didn't.
No.
Hopefully, he didn't blast real nuclear bomb, but it's not non-CGI. It's going to be practical live effects.
So a real explosion.
You know,
Boom.
there's no human being on this planet who has the authority to blow up a nuclear explosion.
Kim Jong-un would like to fight you.
At least as far as the UN is concerned, I suppose. Speaking of the UN,
So, Kia, which is the movie you're most looking forward to this year?
Greta Gerwig's, I hope I pronounced that name right. Barbie.
Hey.
Yay! Which has been, fun fact, which has been announced for over a year and a half now. I remember being excited when I saw Margot Robbie's first look photos. You know, we've all seen the photo where she's wearing blue striped dress. Yeah, I've been very excited about it ever since. I really like now seeing the trailer. The creative direction that she went with the movie. She really managed to replicate the entire, vibe that you get when you see a Barbie world. It's all pink and it's magical, and I really love even the creative direction she took with it, and the directing style she particularly opted for. Again, maybe some of you have seen that one screenshot of the Barbie's foot being like this.
Yeah.
It was so on point. I remember seeing that. I was like, that's so on point for Barbie. So I'm really glad that the director has actually done her research into the authentic source material, unlike a lot of the recent movies we have seen. And I'm excited to. I like the direction that it's currently headed towards.
For me, I get to see Ryan Gosling shirtless.
Oh yeah, that. I really like how.
He's a total doofus.
Yeah, how useless he is, because that is very authentic to the source material.
But to me, it is not just about Barbie and being sticking to the source. It's also about parodying Barbie while being in Barbie. It has yes.
It's very self-aware.
Very self-aware.
The movie is very self-aware.
Yes. Part that had me rolling on the floor was the Matrix part. You choose this slipper, this pill, red pill and blue pill.
Yeah.
That was really fun. Then so the boys, all of us are gonna suit up and go for Barbie.
Right.
So you got anything to say about Barbie? Are you gonna suit up for Barbie, sir? With the boys?
So, you can be very self-aware about your material, right, while you're making it, and it can still be really bad material.
No. Not with Barbie.
It's possible.
Not with
Not
Barbie.
that Barbie is bad.
So, see, again, the thing is, 50% of the people who are going to watch this movie, right, they're going to do it because Ryan Gosling is going to take his shirt off. The other 50% are going to do it because Margot Robbie. What the hell is that? Margot Robbie. So Margot, go edit करना पड़ेगा.
नहीं होगा edit. This will stay in it.
So Margot Robbie, right? The other half they're going to watch it because she's in it. Because otherwise, there are maybe like 3 people in the world who care about who the director is these days.
Yes.
No, she's gonna see because Barbie's in it.
No, but you could have taken Barbie as a source material, but it could have been a really bad movie.
They were gonna take Amy Schumer before they took Margot Robbie. And I'm thinking what are different movies that got to be.
Went, SJW with Barbie, but they didn't.
No, so, see, the thing is, they can't do like a straight plot-based movie about Barbie, right? They just can't do it in this century. So they had to go meta. They had to. They didn't have a choice. And they are doing it in the right way, I suppose, because they are calling out the shots, like who plays with Barbie dolls after they turn 3, right? Nobody does that. So I was saying, like, who is actually interested in this movie anymore? Like the people who are the target demographic for buying the toys, they have all grown up. They are not going to go to the theaters to watch this movie because it's Barbie. They'll go to watch it because it's Margot Robbie, right? There's Ryan Gosling, etc., etc. They accept the fact. But is that by itself going to be enough to sustain this movie? I'm not sure.
No, I do feel the Barbie name is big enough that when you are parodying it with these big stars, that's Gosling and Robbie, that Barbie name itself becomes a very big pushing factor. And they have made sure to push it in a very self-aware way. The promo, it is extremely self-aware and it's also self-deprecating because the movie still itself says, if you love Barbie, this movie is for you. If you hate Barbie, this movie is for you. Because it's taking everything about Barbie and destroying it completely while also sustaining it in a weird way. So I do believe it will be a really fun watch. And July 21st, you're gonna have a double watch. We start the morning with Oppenheimer and end on Barbie.
But coming back to the self-aware part though, so see, there was another movie starring Margot, right? That was very self-referential. It knew what it was trying to achieve, etc. I'm talking about the Birds of Prey movie, the emancipation of Harley Quinn, right? So it's very self-aware. Like it knew that it was just supposed to poke fun at the comic book genre, etc., etc. It fell flat on its knees. It didn't work at all. Nobody enjoyed that. The people who enjoyed self-referential stuff, self-aware stuff, they didn't enjoy it. The people who enjoy a comic book movie did not enjoy it. On the other hand, you have a movie like Deadpool, right? They played their cards right. They broke the right walls and it worked out. So out of all the movies you're talking about today, right, this is not the one I'm the least interested in, to be honest. Like there's one more movie after this, we'll talk about it later. But this is the one that, there's this movie critic, Roger Ebert, he's the most famous critic in the world. He said that you can make a good movie about anything. Yes. For me, Barbie would be that anything, if it becomes a good movie. Let's see what happens with that.
Isha, what are your thoughts on Barbie?
Yeah, so they are releasing on the same date, Oppenheimer and Barbie. So in the interval, we'll be in the changing room, suiting up.
No, why don't we suit up for Barbie and then by the time we're tired and we take our shirts off by the end of the Barbie,
Wear dresses for Oppenheimer.
No.
Dress like a Barbie doll for Oppenheimer.
We just suit up for Barbie because Gosling's there.
No, but the promotion they've done on social media is like really crazy.
Yeah.
Like the memes they are generated, and they've also attracted the Sigma audience by those literally him, memes of Ryan Gosling. So so the Sigma males will be there.
No, I do think that's right. I didn't notice till now.
Yeah, otherwise boys wouldn't really go to see,
Right.
like, especially someone like
I think the Gosling controversy.
he wouldn't normally go to see the movie.
Yeah, but the Gosling content has been pushed up ever since a Barbie ka PR, I believe, has started. A good thing to note. And, sir?
Speaking of movies you don't have to dress up to watch. So let's talk about Mission Impossible 7. Because from my perspective, it is the safest movie of the summer. Like, it is going to make bank at the box office. It is the 7th movie in a series that's been going steadily for the past, like, I don't know, decade practically. It features one of the most bankable stars doing the most bankable thing that he does, right? And somehow he still keeps escaping, like he doesn't die. You know, his crazy stunts. I have a lot of things to say about this movie, but what are your thoughts?
Cruise is the last of the stars. In the international market, Tom Cruise, I would say Tom Cruise alongside Leo and Brad Pitt are the last generation of megastars. There are no more draws like that. Like, because of the advent of comic book movies and the Marvelization of movies, the star is no longer the draw for a movie, the box office draw. It mostly depends on the name, maybe even the director, but it's mostly the name and the branding of the movie. But I do believe, like we saw with Top Gun Maverick last year, Tom Cruise is one of the last people who can draw a massive audience anywhere in the world. And I do believe, yeah, like you said, it is the safest movie. It is the movie which will make a lot of money, whether it's good or bad. Yeah. What's your thought?
Yeah, people would definitely pay money to see a Mission Impossible movie. Like, it's a no-brainer. Everybody would go to the cinema. And Tom Cruise, like, his fan base will definitely be there. He's never disappointed, at least in the Mission Impossible series. Hopefully the 7th iteration will live up to the franchise's name.
Yeah, any thoughts?
I watched a Mission Impossible movie so long ago, I don't exactly remember what the contents were.
Anil Kapoor.
But
Anil Kapoor. Ghost Protocol.
But I do remember quite, and even though it was the genre I enjoy the least, which is brainless action, just pow pow dishum dishum, it was quite an enjoyable watch. And yeah, definitely a safe pick.
You want Dishum Dishum? Another movie. It's not the movie I'm most excited for, but another movie I'm really excited for is Kennedy. It's the only Indian/Hindi movie I'm looking forward to this year, because Anurag Kashyap, despite his last few failures, I do believe is a fun director with all the inspiration he takes from Korean cinema and Martin Scorsese especially. He ends up making really fun cinema, and it recently premiered at Cannes Film Festival and got a 7-minute standing ovation. Now Indiana Jones got 5 and they clap for anything, but Killers of the Flower Moon got 9.
I laugh for anything you say.
No, you don't.
We'll come back to Canada. So the thing about Tom Cruise, I mean, it's interesting that you're talking about him in the same breath as Brad Pitt and Leo, right? Because he's not really from that generation.
He's a generation pre.
So he's from the same generation as Denzel Washington. That's where he's from.
Yeah.
He's from the generation where Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger made them out, right, on the world. That's where he's coming from. And the thing about him is that I'm sure he's the biggest narcissist in the world, like the biggest, like bar none. But he's the best kind there is, because he's been quietly keeping the competent action genre alive for the better part of a decade. Like, you look at other action movies, the biggest thrust in the past 15 years for action movies has been the MCU, right? The action comic book adaptation, whatever.
We don't talk about Fast franchise, right?
We don't know. What is a Fast franchise? I have no idea.
Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Is that like a sushi restaurant? I have no idea. So he's been doing that, and if you look at these movies subjectively, right, they're very plain. The plots are simple, bare bones. There's no complications in the story. The dialogue is like cookie cutter. The action set pieces themselves are very simple to think about. But that by itself has become such a rarity in the Hollywood film industry that it's working. And it's working so well that Top Gun Maverick was one of the highest grossing movies of the past. So I look at that movie and I'm like, okay, it's not that special. But you compare it to what else is coming out. You look at like what was coming out from MCU around that time, right? Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. Now on surface that's not a bad movie, but it's just so overblown and there's so much
It is
stuff
a pretty bad movie.
And then Maverick comes around. It's simple, good action pieces, like real practical effects, no CGI slush fest. That works. And it's a shame that nobody else is capitalizing on it. Like Tom Cruise is practically the only one who's doing it.
Right.
I don't know what's happening after he's like one of these days he's going to jump off a cliff and the parachute won't open or whatever. What do you do with that? What happens afterwards?
The thing I was thinking about was the point you made. Tom Cruise came around the same time as Denzel Washington. You got Equalizer 3 coming this year, no one's talking about it. And Equalizer isn't a bad franchise. It's not. But no one's talking about it. It's Mission Impossible because I do believe this is the best year we've had for cinema since 2019. 2019 when you had Parasite, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Joke, I won't count Joke. Irishman, yeah, I love Irishman.
Even the second iteration of Jumanji came out, right? Jumanji was fun.
The one with the rock.
Yeah.
The first one was alright.
No, the second one was also great in 4DX.
I think the second one was more enjoyable if you didn't watch the first one.
I think he doesn't like Jumanji.
I love the first Jumanji.
You don't like The Rock?
Do you not like Jumanji? Do you not like Ishan?
You know a movie with The Rock that I really like that nobody else seems to is Rampage. It's an adaptation of a really old video game. And again, cookie cutter story, nothing really special about it. But I just like it because The Rock makes friends with a gorilla and then the gorillas go nuts and they just start rampaging over the city, right? And then other monsters join the fray. So it's kind of like a parody of what King Kong wanted to be. But for some reason it works. And Jumanji is kind of like...
I don't like The Rock because he's ducking Roman Reigns for the past 5 years. He needs to come 1 year and have a match at WrestleMania, and he's too. I can't say the word here. He's too much of a dash.
It's too bored, yeah. Anyway, so again, if you compare The Rock to somebody like Tom Cruise, you don't compare, right? They're not in the same.
Not at all.
Like Tom Cruise is doing things. I mean, tissue action. That's what he's doing. He's not doing.
Also, I think Tom Cruise is one of the few Hollywood celebrities that even someone like my dad or mom knows. The newer generation of Hollywood celebrities don't really have that. Like, I go to my mom and I tell her, oh, Margot Robbie is starring in this, Ryan Gosling is starring in this, she'll be like, gone.
So getting back to Kennedy. I'm surprised that you understand how it's drawn from Korean cinema because I'm not sure you've seen a lot of it, right?
Not much, but seeing The Departed, right? I saw The Departed and it was adapted from a Korean movie. Same with Reservoir Dogs. Kind of the ending 10 minutes of a Korean movie. I can't remember the name, but that's basically Reservoir Dogs stretched.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, then I went, I didn't see the movies, but I went on YouTube and I started seeing what is the type of style of cinema over there. And therefore... Was I right in saying he adapts? Yeah, so that's it. That's how I deduced it was kind of adapted from the Eastern cinema, Korean cinema.
What about you? See any Korean stuff?
Quite. So yeah, quite a bit. Some Korean, some Japanese.
Like any of the kind of stuff that Kennedy is
So I primarily watch shows. Maybe and in my opinion Koreans and Japanese like Asians in general they do thrillers so much better than Hollywood, which is a major reason.
We'll come to that.
But yeah, they do. I'm not sure what's Kennedy about.
Kennedy is basically a slasher. Could you put it a slasher?
Yeah. So for me, right, the two movies that I immediately thought of when I saw the trailer, they're both like Asian thrillers, you can say. Right? This movie called Old Boy. It got adapted recently into an English movie starring the guy who played Thanos.
Josh Brolin.
Yeah, the adaptation sucks. But the original version, right? There are some shots in the trailer for Kennedy that feel like they're just trying to recreate what's happening in Old Boy. And then there's this other sequence of cuts in it that feels like another movie. Again, it's a slasher thriller flick. It's called Sympathy for Lady Vengeance. It's about this woman who gets imprisoned and she does a lot of things in prison and trains herself to be better and then comes out and goes on a murder spree. It feels like that kind of flick. And normally I'd be very critical of this kind of stuff. It's like, why are you just trying to copy other people, right? But in this case, it feels like they're just going the extra mile make sure that every single element that they're copying fits well.
And actually, copying isn't wrong because every art is derived from some sort of art, right? Like Tarantino is infamously a very big, he take exact shots from different movies, right? It's how you place them, how you give it your own twist. And I do believe another thing I like is his constant use of jazzy music in the background. It's really Scorsese-ish, and it is a well-known fact he's a big Scorsese fan. So that's another thing I kind of like. What are your thoughts on Kennedy, if any?
It's a Hindi movie, right? And it has, it's a thriller. And the last good Hindi thriller I saw, Bollywood thriller I saw was Ittifaq in 2017 or 18, I'm not sure. And that was really great. And Kennedy, I might have seen Anurag Kashyap movies. I can't really relate to that. But it should be great. Let's see.
Last good Hindi thriller I would say would be Andhadhun. Andhadhun was pretty good in my opinion.
Does Drishyam count as a Hindi thriller?
No, Drishyam is Malayalam. As a Malayali I will fight for Drishyam being a Malayalam.
Drishyam was
yes.
really
It's just adapted.
I've seen the original one.
Yeah. Mohanlal's awesome.
Fantastic.
Then which are the other movies? Going through slashers, there's another movie which is coming up. It's David Fincher's Killer. David Fincher, who's really famous for directing movies, such amazing movies such as Fight Club, The Social Network, Zodiac, and my favorite David Fincher movie, Seven. Now, someone on this panel did not like Seven. You want to explain yourself?
What was that?
Ye hai wo insaan.
What? Yeah.
She did not like Seven at all. What did you not like about Seven?
What did you like about Seven?
Okay, from the opening shot, it is this nameless place. They do not name the city they're in, but this place has a feeling you can only relate to Gotham. That's why the recent Robert Pattinson Batman, it derived a lot of things from Seven. It was basically Seven in a comic book movie style. The constant rain, the constant clouds, the fact that it was almost where you could see the people had no hope, right? It is the most real life Gotham you'll get in movies. Then you've got Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, who are absolutely amazing actors, and they have an incredible dynamic where Freeman is this jaded cop who's on his way out. He's just a week or two away from retiring, and then there's this new cop that's Pitt, and he's still optimistic about he can change this place. He can make this Gotham not be no more Gotham. He can change it. He believes it, and he believes this crime will come and go, and he can stop it. But Freeman, who's been in the business for so many years, he knows there's nothing he can do apart from filing some paperwork. And then you've got Gwyneth Paltrow and you got Kevin Spacey, who give now Kevin Spacey, we don't talk about him anymore, but they both two give incredible performances. Like the detective scene where Kevin Spacey shouts out, that is incredible. Then even the scene where Gwyneth Paltrow shares with Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, that was one of the few scenes of the movie I genuinely found.
What did you not like? I'll explain something about
first I will not to start off on a negative tangent. I will say I loved Gwyneth Paltrow's character. It's been a week, so I forgot everybody's name already. Tracy, yeah, thank you. I loved Tracy's character. I think she is the only character on the show who actually made me care somewhat about her. Tracy.
She is meant to be the pure goodness in the movie, I do believe.
I also think she is one of the actually well written and well executed, I'd say. Not only well written, well executed. Her dialogue was good. Okay, now coming to what I did not like about it. I agree with everything you said. The starting setting for the movie was amazing. The bleakiness of the movie throughout was commendable. They did a fantastic job maintaining that. For me, all of those things and what you appreciated about the movie do not make up for the horrible, atrocious plotline, dialogue writing, and the very unenjoyable duo dynamic that the two lead detectives had going on. Now, when I saw the two detectives first time, when I saw them for the first time on the screen, I was very excited because duos are kind of my favorite dynamic to see in media, like father-daughter or detective and sidekick. in this case, very very dead from inside detective and the over enthusiastic psychic. I really love seeing those kinds of dynamics play out. So I was really looking forward to it. But the film really lost me like about 15 minutes in, I'd say. For the first 10-15 minutes it was great. Like they were setting it up. The first murder happened. I forgot.
Gluttony,
yeah. The first murder happened. You see like this obese man, just lying dead. I'm not sure how
drowning
drowning in his stuff. But none of those things. And then the plot line moved, as in the second one was Greed, I think. Then Greed came, then the next one came, and it really failed to keep me as a viewer interested in it. I think the writing really fell flat. I especially did not like the way the movie was directed. Somerset and Miss, I didn't feel connected to either of them. I didn't think either of them were given really, good dialogue when they spoke to each other or when they interacted with the world to keep me invested enough into the movie. I'd say that's my main...
Can you example for bad dialogue?
I don't remember, dude. It's been a week since... Who remembers dialogues from movies? You... Okay, I don't remember.
I haven't seen the movie in about a year or so. I'll tell you the last dialogue. The world is a fine place and it's worth fighting for. I believe the second part is true. Morgan Freeman says it's the last dialogue of the movie. I still remember.
The movie was just so... Like, I get it. The movie was trying to be a thriller. But it really failed to... I mean, that's the genre that comes up usually when I Google it. What was the movie?
That's like saying Barbie is going to be action, comedy, summer blockbuster.
But it was supposed to have this solemn kind of vibe to it, right?
So the thing is, when 7 came out, right, there wasn't really anything else that was like it. And I'm not sure if you've seen Fincher's work prior to it.
I have.
He's not really interested in telling good stories.
Clearly. Very clearly. Very clearly. The story was very...
Listen. All of the works that are considered to be good stories that have come out from they all come out from adaptations. That's true.
Right. Makes sense.
Gone Girl adaptation, Fight Club adaptation, Social Network adaptation. So 7 isn't a good story if you want to call it that. And
how is it not a good story?
Let me continue, right? But it's not trying to be.
I think that was what I thought. Right up until I think they get in the van. I was like, okay, maybe the movie is going to surprise me. Maybe I'm going to be wrong. Maybe I'll suddenly like what the movie is trying to tell me. But to me, the message just felt very flat on itself.
You weren't shocked with what's in the box?
No. And I don't think that was meant to be a shock, quite honestly. Because anyone will...
So let me ask you a question, right? When the first hour of the movie, right, you see Brad Pitt's character, he's like goody two-shoes, right? By the book, like a very decent student to Morgan Freeman's teacher, a good husband to his wife and all that. You take that character and you ask any random person, right? Ask Ishan. Ask him that, okay, I'm going to tell you that at the end of this movie, he's just going to shoot one of his prisoners, point blank. What are the chances that he'll agree with me, say, okay, that's something that he's probably going to do? It doesn't fit his character.
So, in fact, I would say it will.
It does eventually.
No,
I think it kind of does, because he shows sign of rage throughout the movie.
Yes, because it was very clear he would be rash.
But the thing is that the way he's portrayed in the beginning, ultimately he's always going to control and subdue it and give in to societal pressure, right? What this movie is about is you're taking a person like that, you're just putting him in such a bad situation that he forgets about all of those things, right? And that is the stark reality of the world we live in. That's what Fincher is going for. And there's nothing else like that now, right? But now there's been lots of stuff, like Death Note came out, right? All that other stuff came out, right? And now we have a new movie coming by Fincher called Killer.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know what the story is going to be like. I don't even know if it's going to be a good movie. Because unlike Nolan, Fincher has made at least one good, a bad movie in my book. I'm not talking about it. Yeah, but the thing I'm interested about the most in Killer is the fact that Michael Fassbender has a lead role. You just saw like a small glimpse of him in the trailer, right? It's hardly even a trailer.
Yeah,
What was it?
10
It's a teaser,
seconds.
right? But it's been so long since that guy's had a meaty role to just sink his teeth into. Like the last prominent thing that guy did was that Assassin's Creed movie, whatever the hell. Did anybody see it? It's not worth watching at all. It's worse than the worst game in the entire series. That's how bad it is, right? So that guy is a decent actor. He deserves something meaty, and that's what I'm watching this movie for.
The only place I've seen Fassbender is the scene in Inglourious Basterds. Thwa. But yeah, he's a great actor from what I've seen and what I've heard from
You
sources.
should watch 12 Years a Slave. He's
Oh, he's
I
in
think,
that?
yeah, I think he really, I get what you, and that is, I think, a major reason some of my friends and friend like the movie. For me, the director just fails to uphold tension throughout the movie so bad that I'm just disinterested.
So that's
It
interesting again, right? Because I saw that entire movie in one go. I didn't take a single break. I could
Yeah, I
not
was
take
very-
my eyes away.
I was,
Exactly.
it
That's
failed
how it is.
to.
The final 30 minutes, you can't look away. When they are in the car with John Doe, you cannot look
You know,
away.
I distinctly remember, okay, maybe checking the movie at 1 hour 20 minutes. And at that point, I decided to text one of my friends. And I was like, so when does the movie start getting good? You told me it's a good movie. And was it you I texted? Yeah. So when will I become interested in it?
I lost hope for this girl, that's it.
Let's just give her
Yeah,
a shot.
she-
Let's give her one more shot, right? Okay. Watch it. There's a movie called Ghost in the Shell. Have you heard about it?
I have not. Is it recent?
There's an adaptation that was recent and wasn't very good, but there's an anime, Ghost in the Shell. It has the same kind of structure, right? There's this undercurrent of tension throughout, but if 7 didn't work out for you, I want to see Ghost in the Shell next. Give it a shot.
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell.
Is it a movie or is it
It's an anime. It's a feature-length anime, like an hour, 30 minutes, something like that. But yeah, so we can't really comment about the killer much beyond that because we don't know.
It's basically a noir movie
Maybe I
and
will
noir
see.
peaked with 7. We can't change your mind and
No,
you can't
maybe
change
I will see Killer just to give you a review of why I didn't like it.
You'll see it. Fine. Okay, now going away from all this death and destruction, let's go to something a bit more happy. Wes Anderson's next movie, which I am looking forward to, Asteroid City. Now, I showed you that day, and when you've seen Wes Anderson movies, it just is a different vibe, right?
Which one was it?
The symmetrical, all
right,
the
right,
symmetrical
yeah, yeah.
ones. It is just a completely different vibe when you're seeing a Wes Anderson movie. I recently saw Grand Budapest Hotel, and it's such a fun time. And it's never presentation over the matter, because though it is a really quirky movie, Grand Budapest, though basic, has a good storyline, and that's fun to me. And this movie, upcoming movie, it's got Michael Scott, what's the actor's name? Steve Carell. Yeah, it's got Steve Carell. It's got Tom Hanks. It's got ScarJo. It has got a lot of people I really like. So I'm really looking forward to Asteroid City. What about you, sir?
Let's talk about. Let's ask Ishan, right? Have you seen the trailer?
Yeah, I saw the trailer. I mean, it's in some like it's very like a set. It feels more like set than real life. You know, the whole the set feels like most. It feels feels like a real set.
It's like a stage play.
Yeah, it feels like a stage play, something like a medieval era, like Shakespeare type thing. And then I saw in the trailer some asteroid falling in the distance and some pink cars. So I didn't understand what. So can you tell me like what is it about?
See, no. Wes Anderson movies are never sold by their plot, because their plots are usually just pretty generic. It's the vibe the movie has. It means all the symmetrical frames, the gimmickiness you spoke about. That is a standard Wes Anderson feature where all his sets are pretty evidently sets. There's nothing. He doesn't try to make it look real, but he makes it extremely beautiful. Every shot is beautiful. No matter any Wes Anderson shot you pick up is beautiful. Then the Fantastic Mr. Fox and all those movies. It's just beautiful frame. It's a different vibe when you're going to see a Wes Anderson movie.
I think you need to be in a really specific kind of mood to watch it.
In fact, it will put you in a specific kind of mood. Because Because I saw Grand Budapest Hotel, and for the next 2 days, I was just looking around everywhere, and I'm seeing beauty in everything. Because see, it's you start seeing stuff in such a way that it's all symmetrical. Look at the beauty in life.
But I think that's a you thing.
Okay. So none of you are looking forward to Asteroid City.
So the thing is, so the only Wes Anderson film that I truly enjoyed, right, was Isle of Dogs, which is about as far removed from Wes Anderson's usual style as it gets. His movies aren't bad, right? But the quality that you're talking about, right? I would say that his movies feel like chewing bubble gum.
Yes.
It's a very comforting experience after this, right? So if you are searching for that atmosphere, then there's nothing else out there that does it for you. But if you're watching a movie for the sake of like plot or dazzling experiences or like high thrills action, like even meaningful emotional interactions and all that, I've never really found that in these movies. It's there, right? But it's not like front and center. The aesthetic always takes precedence, right? So the reason I asked Ishan about it is because I look at this guy and the shirt he's wearing and I'm like,
This is Wes Anderson.
Exactly. Right? So that he has become so well known for that aesthetic, more so than the content of his movies.
Right, that's true.
And more often than not, when I'm watching a movie, right, I'm there for the content or the themes. Or like all the things that make cinema for me. And from that perspective, you talk about Grand Budapest Hotel or you talk about any of his other work, right? I don't get much from it when I leave the movie. Like besides the fact that okay, that was pretty.
See, if anyone asks me, give me a movie which I'll have to sit and think about it for the next 1 week, I obviously won't recommend Wes Anderson, right? But Wes Anderson to me is something that is just so fun, and it's not mindless fun like you would say something like Cocaine Bear was.
Was trying to be.
There's a movie called
Cocaine Bear.
Cocaine.
A bear ingests 1 or 2 kgs of cocaine and goes mad.
Kgs.
Wait, isn't that like every
Ray Liotta's-
Jason Statham movie? Like that's Jason Statham. Anyway, yeah.
It's Ray Liotta's last movie.
All right.
Yeah. What I was talking about Wes Anderson is, though it has a lot of style, to me it's never style over substance. At least what I saw. Because even when the Grand Budapest was really beautiful, there were 2 things I had to rewind because I missed the dialogues because I was admiring the set. Even then, it has a very sweet heart to it, and even the other stuff I've seen about, I haven't seen the entire thing, but to me it is like you said, it's a comfort. It's like chewing bubble gum. Obviously, you won't sit and chew bubble gum the end. You won't see it all in one shot.
Let's talk about somebody else who gives a really deep, damn about what is and is not cinema. You have a new Scorsese flick coming out? Yeah. What's it called, man?
It's Killers of the Flower Moon. It is the movie I'm most excited about.
Just to be sure, Scorsese is the guy who
Directed
directed
Taxi
Driver.
and
Shutter Island, Goodfellas.
My man. See, Shutter Island, I think it speaks it. It's the best movie I've watched.
Shutter Island is my least favorite Scorsese.
It's my even less than Taxi Driver.
I had seen Taxi Driver. Like he told me to see it.
Yeah,
Like-
he also told me.
For me, Scorsese peaked with Goodfellas. He never made it.
Goodfellas.
91.
Is it the movie you keep talking about?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. For me, the peak of Scorsese, not I wouldn't say peak, but my favorite movie is Irishman. It's the most recent movie.
Irishman was by Scorsese.
Yeah.
I will watch it now.
Because don't see Irishman directly. Because the Irishman builds on Goodfellas, builds on Casino, and on that gangster base, it makes a movie which has everything about it, but takes a sharp left turn. And it's about everything I found missing in Goodfellas, which not right on my first viewing, whatever I found missing in Goodfellas, and even less in Casino, was what I found made The Irishman such a perfect movie. It's about the comeuppance of the people I wouldn't say more to ruin your experience, but to me it is his most heartfelt movie, because at such an old age he made a movie about what life means to him at this old age through these actors like Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci and Al Pacino, who too were really old, and to me that is my favorite movie of Scorsese.
It's kind of like I would do like rock bands from 70s, 80s, etc. So I'm big on those, right?
I'm not big on anything pre-1990s.
I tried to make her listen to Queen and she didn't like it.
Yeah, so I'm big on 70s, rock acts, and most of those acts are really old. They're like 40 years after they did the rock and roll dance, right? They're in the 70s or 60s.
I think that's why I can't get as into 70s, 80s, because obviously I can't expect productions like the 2000s era.
That's not true.
That is what he said.
Some of the 70s records sound better than 90% of the thrash radios. Anyway,
Like production.
the point is, so what The Irishman is like, right? I haven't seen that movie, but I'm saving it for a special decade, right?
Okay.
Because for me, The Irishman feels like these are people who've been in the same industry for like 30 years.
Right.
They've acted alongside each other for like decades by this point, and now they are going together. This is their movie about going home, as you're saying, right? So a lot of the new albums that come out, so there's a band called Dream Theater, pretty old by this point. It came out a new album. It probably won't hold as much weight for anybody who's hearing it now, like fresh, without any context, like what Dream Theater is like. From somebody like me, right, who's been listening to that band for like 15 years by this point, it's a really the things they say, it's building about 15 years of experience. So that's what The Irishman is like. But the movie that is coming out with next, right? I don't think it's that kind of movie.
It is not. It's the closest Scorsese he's come to a Western. Mm-hmm. It's more in line with something Paul Thomas Anderson would do, like There'll Be Blood. It is about how the Native Americans were oppressed in a particular part in the American history. And for the thing which is most fun for me, it's finding Robert De Niro back to a villainous character. He is playing the outright villain of the movie.
He's been playing grandfather for the past 10 years. Do you know that?
Right. He's playing grandfather, but he's always been sweet. Even in The Irishman, where he does questionable stuff, you still feel a lot of sympathy for him. I do believe this is going to be his straight out bad character in a very long time, since maybe God knows.
If I wasn't so nostalgic about Barbie, this would probably be the movie I am most excited for. Because again, I've only watched 2 movies of his because I'm not that big of a movie buff yet. But yeah, man, Shutter Island was amazing. Like the entire concept behind it, the way it was executed. See, again, I think people can have great ideas,
right,
but they can also fail to execute on the ideas as easily.
Right.
Shutter Island for me it lived up to my expectations, which were neutral, but it surpassed my expectations.
Ishan, even you saw Taxi Driver, right, recently? What were your thoughts on Taxi Driver?
Well, I like the background, the scoring, the music. It was really something different from normal movies. And then, the ending was a bit disappointing for me. I forgot the main guy's name.
Travis Bickle.
Yeah, Travis Bickle. I thought he would shoot his fiance, that lady.
Betsy.
Yeah, Betsy. I thought he would shoot in anger, but then he shot some drugs. What is it?
He shot a pimp.
He shot a pimp, right?
Yeah. I think you're close enough. It's on the line.
Yeah.
Whatever about it, but the movie just had something a bit different from other movies. Like it made you feel a bit different. Like
it was very unique.
Yeah, it was unique in the way it showed New York at that time, and then the struggles of drivers, how he couldn't sleep, and what he used to do to combat that.
Yeah, I think his descent was portrayed fantastic.
And I think it was revolutionary in the way it was a first-person perspective. Like the movie, however long it is, a majority of it is just Travis. You don't see Travis out of frame. It is all Travis in frame.
But it never gets boring.
It never gets, because and Travis is a racist, no questions asked. But the movie, from its point of view, it puts you in Travis's headspace, and the thing I like, the ending is a bit
Anticlimactic.
offbeat when you are seeing it for the first time. But for me, it is how he was just a few hours away from being the villain for shooting the politician. Instead, that failed. He went and shot the film, and he's the hero for the city.
To add on to that, I love the ending shot of the movie.
Right.
That's my favorite bit of the movie.
The one where it floats, or he meets Betsy in the car again.
No, the one where it floats.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
the newspaper that.
Right.
It's like I think that is the moment you get to mull over what you
Right.
just saw. You get to process things and you see how, damn.
Fun fact, they were going to give it an X rating, means they couldn't release it because of the last bloody scene, and Scorsese was ready to go
That
and
was bloody for that era.
yeah. Don't show them Kill Bill.
Context.
Right, so and they were about to give it an X rating, so Scorsese was ready to take his gun and go and shoot the movie producers, because it was his, up until then, his life's hard work, and he couldn't believe they couldn't see it. Last film is changed the color saturation, and that was enough, where it's no longer blood red, but it becomes almost mahogany.
Really? Is that a true story?
That's it, and that changed the X rating.
Okay. Well, good thing it did.
Yeah.
Was that his first famous Scorsese?
Mean Streets.
So Mean Streets like put his name on the map, but Taxi Driver was the one that blew. And in case you all don't know, Scorsese directed a Michael Jackson music video.
He did?
He went from, so that video itself is about gang war suspense.
Okay.
That's his genre, right?
Yeah.
He's been all over the map. He's made like movies for children. He's made maybe science fiction if you want to consider Shutter Island science fiction or whatever.
Yeah.
But the place where he's the most comfortable in, the place where I like Scorsese's work is the gangster
flicks. Yep.
You look at Goodfellas, you look at Casino, you look at The Wolf of Wall Street. So for me, The Wolf of Wall Street is like a sequel to Goodfellas. It's pretty much the same.
It is Goodfellas in the stock market.
Yeah. And it's surprising to me that a man who's now actually closer in age to our grandfathers, right, than our fathers, is still making movies with such fierce energy.
And they resonate. It's not that he's got out of touch. He is still making good movies. To me, even more than gangs.
I think even I was just saying, I think even the stories that he picks up, the concept that he chooses are really unique. Like you won't, I don't think I can find a single movie of his. I've looked through a catalogue, not that I've seen movies, but yeah, I don't think there's a single movie of his that is, cookie cutter, generic.
Right.
Who is that movie?
Yogo. Yeah, Yogo is that. It's a kids movie, that's it. To me, even more than the gangster flick, the thing that resonates through all his movies is his own belief in his religion. Because he's a Catholic, and all his movies have the theme of Catholic guilt, where Goodfellas, the ending, all the movies, they are deeply religious if you go through the themes of it. Even Taxi Driver had a very religious theme. He had nothing to believe in, and he fell through it. Now, I'm not saying that I believe in Catholicism or Catholicism. Yeah, but that's a theme that resonates, and when the director believes so much in his theme, that theme always does resonate. Now coming to Killers of the Flower Moon, I am really excited because it premiered at Cannes recently, got a 9-minute standing ovation. Plus, it's got Leonardo DiCaprio, it's got Brendan Fraser, it's got Robert De Niro, and it is, from what I've seen, it is not exactly, it is truer to the Indian community, the American Indian community, than the actual book which he's adapting is, because the actual book is about the formation of the FBI, depending on the case. But the movie is about the people, the American Indian people, and I do believe that man is still on a roll, and God knows how many movies we've got of his, but
How old is he?
he's 80.
He's 80 years old.
He's 80 years old and he's still making terrific movies. Coming from Catholicism, his next movie will be on Jesus Christ again. Just like, what's the movie's name? The Last Temptation of Christ. Jesus, it will be about Jesus. What is your favorite Scorsese movie?
Goodfellas, no question.
Goodfellas.
But if you ask me for a close second, I can't become that. If you look at The Last Temptation of the Christ, right? Because if you are familiar with the story of the Bible, right, you look at all the other renditions, you look at the Passion of the Christ story, right? You compare that to what actually is depicted in the Last Temptation. That's the kind of movie that in another decade, right, would never be allowed to exist. Because it is just that confrontational. You take a movie like The Wolf of Wall Street, again, in today's day and age, the fact that that movie got released in India, let's start with that, right? Like that movie would not have been released in India in the past like 20 years ago, right?
It was released now.
Yeah. Because of the climate.
Yeah.
So that guy doesn't pull any punches. So when he's in that atmosphere and when he's in his comfort zone, right? He makes movies that nobody else can. No, it's not possible. Because you have to live in that environment to actually depict it.
He is the greatest living director. Greatest living director. Means people would talk about Hitchcock and all. Yeah.
He's directed Shutter Island.
Scorsese.
As I said, the Shutter Island is my least favorite.
Why?
For me, the least favorite is Gangs of New York. It's such a choppily edited film. It is the only Scorsese movie which I would say is downright bad. Means apart from Daniel Day-Lewis, he's incredible. Actually, he's too good for the movie. He makes Leonardo DiCaprio look useless in the movie. He's so good, it's to the detriment of the movie. And the editing is horrible in the movie. That's it.
So the thing about Shutter Island is that if it's like the first movie of that kind that you've seen, it's going to have an impact that no other movie after that will.
By in its time, do you mean science fiction thrillers?
No. So the big, we're doing spoilers, right?
I think, okay, if you haven't seen Shutter Island, stop seeing now.
Yeah, just get lost.
No, we leave your timestamps, go there.
So the central plot line of that movie is that everybody's acting. That's basically it, right?
Ishan, you've seen.
I've never seen.
Close your ears. Close your ears.
Yeah, you can leave and come back. The central plot line is that everybody's acting around him, right? So he's a mental patient. He's actually an inmate over there, and everybody's just acting around him because that's somehow supposed to help with the therapy. So the fact that there's this one guy for whom the entire world practically is turning, right? I've seen that theme 7 times before I saw Shutter Island. So I've seen movies like Dark City. I've seen The Truman Show. I've seen The Matrix is pretty much the same kind of concept taken to like the 10th level, right? So you see that once or twice, right? In a different environment doesn't always have the same impact. That's the first thing. Second, I feel like Leonardo DiCaprio was the wrong choice for that movie, according to me, right? You watch something like The Aviator, he's very good at it. He didn't get the credit he should have. For this kind of movie, he didn't work for it. Third, the background scope of that movie didn't work for me.
Backgrounds?
Yeah, the scope, the sound. I felt like it didn't fit the genre at all.
Oh, that was my problem with 7 actually. The chasing scenes, the music was.
See, considering, so me saying that is the worst Martin Scorsese movie I've seen, right? That's like me saying that, like, I'm having a really scrumptious meal, right? And like one dish isn't as good as the others, and I'm like, okay, it
doesn't up to
It would still be the best dish in any other restaurant.
Yeah.
Like given a choice between watching that and the latest Furious movie, I know what I'm thinking.
I think what sets it apart for me is how well it's executed. Okay, you can I can take any concept. You can summarize any plot in very plain words, right? Like I could just be the taxi driver is about this guy who goes mad and shoots, pimps, whatever. But to me, Shutter Island, the guy pulled it off so well. I think Leonardo DiCaprio did a fantastic job. He sold me.
Right.
I was sold. I think he did a fantastic job, especially the scene where like he realizes that the expression was priceless.
To me, even
So I've seen that particular moment, and that's
for me, I would disagree. I would agree with her because for me, apart from the Gangs of New York, which I didn't like at all, Leo is by far the best part of any movie he's in. At least of what I have seen. You take Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. people were raving about Brad Pitt. To me, it was Leo all the way. The scene with the little girl, the acting scene, to me, that was incredible. It was better than Joaquin Phoenix in The Joker. The Joker took over the world, but to me, that one scene itself, I believe if Leo hadn't won for The Revenant, he would have actually people would have clamored more for him winning in 2019, which I do believe would have been better than The Revenant. So for me, Leo is, in my opinion, the greatest leading actor of our generation. I know it's Brad Pitt for you, but to me, it's Leo because he's consistent. He's extremely consistent. Even my favorite Nolan movie is between Dark Knight Rises, the Joker one, and Inception. And to me, the best part of Inception is Leo. So that's why
I'm not as madly in love with Leo.
I'm not madly in love with him. No, that man is a creep.
Okay, I don't watch movies for the cast. I don't think I've ever done that.
I started doing that recently, especially with Al Pacino. I started going into deeper.
Yeah.
stuff.
So to me, the execution, the storyline, how it tells me the story, what were the movies going for, and how well it's doing in its genre is far more important. And yeah, Shutter Island takes all.
Another rare Scorsese movie I don't like that much is The Departed, and even then, Leo is still the best part of the movie for me. What do I thought on The Departed? Do you like it?
That movie belongs to Jack Nicholson.
I thought he was overacting.
That's Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I mean, you watch his movies because you're going to have a ball of it watching him overact. So it's an adaptation, right?
Right, Korean.
Infernal Affairs. Yeah. So again, the have you seen Infernal Affairs and you compare it to The Departed? Like, it's an inferior movie in every aspect, The Departed. If you're comparing it to the Infernal Affairs, right? But in terms of, if you've never seen that movie, you see The Departed fresh, right? Again, for me, the big deal is that he was like in his late 60s around that time, when he made early 60s.
Right.
He was a 62-year-old man making a movie about like Boston cops. And the language that is lettered into his dialogue, that is so pitch perfect, right? You see that on crime shows everywhere, but he's 60 plus years old, he's writing dialogue that sounds to be a year. So from that perspective, like say The Department, it's probably not very high on the list of like Scorsese movies, but again it's worth watching, and maybe worth watching twice.
Okay, maybe.
I can't say the same thing about Shutter Island. Would you want to watch it again?
No,
I watched it.
in fact, Shutter Island is a movie you need to watch twice.
I haven't watched it twice, by the way, because I'm a lazy person in general. But he's told me so many times.
You need to watch it twice because after the twist, it's a brand new movie you're seeing now.
So for me, I think the twist in the first 10 minutes.
You saw the twist on
Because I've seen that kind of twist.
He's very accustomed to the genre.
Alright, speaking of movies that aren't yet out, what else are we excited about? Comic book stuff?
We just saw Spider-Man
Spider-Verse.
Last week.
Spider-Verse was good. I really liked it.
and so they left it at a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
They're all bad cliffhanger. It's like two parts. It's like 2 parts out of 3 of a movie.
Yeah.
In 1 2-hour film.
Yeah.
And then they couldn't add the last part, the last 1 hour. And that's what made me angry. I was like, यार एक साल अभी और रुकाओगे क्या?
Like,
I think
That
so.
sounds like the third Hobbit movie.
don't spoil. Right. So because even that's what I told him, right? Every story is split into 3 acts, right? Act 1, 2, and 3. Spider-Verse was the first 2 acts of a perfect comic book movie. They've kept the 3rd act for
The next one.
Now people are comparing it to Infinity Wars in that sake, where even Infinity Wars ended up kind of a cliffhanger where everyone vanished.
It wasn't really a
But it wasn't a
cliffhanger.
cliffhanger. They at least gave you some sort of release in the end. This is almost if you ended Infinity Wars on T'Challa telling Captain America, get this man a sheep. It was almost where they stopped right before the 3rd act, and that's somewhere where I was like, I would have sat for another 1.5 hours.
Yeah, same.
Infinity War, right? It ended on an emotional suck of it.
Right.
It wasn't a cliff.
Right.
Like, see, you already knew there's a new movie coming. Right? It wasn't like you didn't know what was going to happen, right? Or whether the story would continue or not. Your cliffhanger is it's like a story element where you don't know what's coming next, or even if there's anything coming at all. Right? So again, let's take Mission Impossible 7 for example. Every movie previously, we we've never known if there's a new one coming after. So if let's say Rogue Nation, right? That's one of the Mission Impossible. It ends on this part where somebody kidnaps Ethan Hunt, right? Tom Cruise. And that's where it ends. And you have no idea what's happening next. And then you have to wait 3 years for the next movie. Right? That's a cliffhanger. And then if you don't satisfy the audience afterwards in the next movie, you're screwed. That's not happening in Mission Impossible 7. I'm sure they will end at a story beat where you will want to know what's happening next. But with 7, you know that there's a part 8 coming for sure. Right? It's a 2-parter. It's not a cliff. It's just a place you're ending on a high note because you want the audience to wait for what's happening.
Fast 11 is going to get split into 3 movies.
Fast and Furious.
Part 11 will be split into 3 movies.
What are they calling it?
Fast 11 Part 1, Fast 11 Part 2, Fast 11 Part 3. Vin Diesel's ego.
Innovative.
Incredible.
And how many times do you think he's going to mention the word family in all those movies? Alright, so in closing, like there's lots of new stuff coming out.
Yeah.
And I feel like for the first time since maybe 2019, people are excited, right? People are excited to go back to the theater and watch things. That wasn't the case immediately after lockdown lifted because I was apathetic. Like I did not feel like going to the movie hall, spending 300 rupees on a ticket and 700 rupees on popcorn and then sitting there and watching something for 3 hours after sitting and watching things at my house. So what do you all feel like? Are we going to be able to sustain this kind of theatre culture now? Or is it like just a temporary thing and once this lot of movies by these famous directors comes and goes, we're back to square one?
Apple recently unveiled their VR headset, the new one, and that's revolutionizing, in the movie industry. Like you'll be able to see movies in like what do we say?
4D.
Yeah, in 4D. Like you can literally live inside the movie. Like now there'll be movies which people can direct where you are playing as a character. You wear that VR headset and like you are one of the characters in the movie, and it will like create a whole new avenue of storytelling.
But that itself
Oh,
is
damn.
not
Have you
movie.
seen that game engine that came out recently? It was so realistic.
Answer.
Unreal का कोई variation?
5.
Shayad. I think it was.
Let's not talk about game engines and VR and all that because we did a massive podcast episode about the very same thing.
Yeah.
Links in the description, right?
Go watch the Vidya podcast, you illiterate people.
Yeah. So that's tech, right? That's going to be fancy and it's going to be new. But I remember the same thing. There was a lot of buzz about 3D the first time it came out, right? After it came out a couple of decades ago. A lot of buzz about it, but there's no 3D movies anymore. Nobody watches them. I got a 3D TV in my house for some reason. I've never been interested in even turning that 3D option on, right? Even though I've got a bunch of like side-by-side movies. So the fundamental elements of cinema, right? You can maybe enhance them with VR and all that. But the
Can't replace the
directors we are
experience.
talking about right now, I'm not sure if any of them will want to adapt or adopt all of that technology because it's just one more thing that's going to get between you and the thing that they're trying to tell, which is like a really good story in a really good way. So if tech is not the answer, what happens next? Like, are we just going to go back to the couch and watch things on our TV or?
I think there will be highs and lows.
Like you said, right, once this current batch of movies comes and goes, it never goes. Movies will never.
Hang on, isn't Tarantino starting?
It's coming. That's what.
Let's talk about that next time, guys.
Yeah. Right. So we wrap this up, and that was our thoughts on the upcoming movies in 23, which should be a good year in cinema.
Probably one of the best.
One of the best in recent memory, surely. Let us know in the comments which movies you're looking forward to next, and tell us what are the topics you want us to talk about on the SParkcasts. Now we'll wrap this up while Sameer explain it to her why 7 is the best.
So let's
movie.
talk about 7. Let's just try to understand this girl's perspective and then explain to her why she's just completely wrong about 7.
It is the greatest novel film ever made.
Do I get to say?
No, you don't. You sit and listen. See, 7 is so great because you're done shooting.
Think about the greatest story ever told. It's the story of good versus evil.
Yes.
It's about the seven
camera work.
Separate
of a
doesn't
man,
have good story.
right?
The Seven Sins is the best story. Obviously, it is such a good idea. 7 crimes with the 7 sins. A
I
man
should
who
thought
believes
of that
he's
when I
right.
was a
Just shut up. You
I haven't even watched that.
Did you know about it?